Who knew that the biggest hit of the summer so far was going to end up being somebody known for having the biggest hit of the Oscars recently? But Bad Boys Ride or Die revives the summer box office with Will Smith's return to theaters. Well, it's also Martin Lawrence, and I think he's probably, of the two, a little bit more likable, mostly because, you know, when somebody has a public meltdown, his is at least a little bit more hilarious than, you know, a cuck losing any sort of masculinity left to his name. But tomato. People want to remember the old 90s Will Smith. They don't want to have to remember the blubbering asshole sitting at his wife's red table listening while she likes to get plowed by younger men and then just try to keep it together. It's like, I'm totally fine and secure with that. They ride together, they die together, and they reboot the box office together. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are back in theaters, and a large audience has followed them. Bad Boys Ride or Die, the fourth installment to the long-running franchise Bad Boys, snagged the top spot this weekend, earning a much-needed $56 million boost to the domestic box office after months and months of low returns at the theaters across the nation. Abroad, the film earned another $48.6 million for a global cum of $104,600,000 per ComScore, which is, it's kind of crazy, man, where, hey, guess what? It's not that difficult, man. You know, you go ahead and you put an old tried and true method out there, the old buddy cop genre. You run it back with two recognizable faces, guys, that if you were to just simply put it in a vacuum, or if you were to just release this film a few years back, might have actually just controversy-free ended up being a well-received film. You wouldn't have to end up having to separate the art from the artist because, well, we know about all of the discretions of Will Smith, and if you want to delve down that rabbit hole when it comes to the disintegration of the mental capacities and faculties of Martin Lawrence, you feel free to do that. But Will Smith and Martin Lawrence embarrass themselves by claiming men should sit down when they pee to stop bathroom becoming a mess. As somebody who has had a penis and has stood up to pee for the better part of, let's say 34 years, making a mess everywhere is not really a problem. Okay, aiming's not that difficult, so that's just an old trope, but it's also coming from two blue-pilled cucks, where it's like, okay, cool, if masculinity has returned to the cinema, and then in the same breath you have to say it's because Will Smith is coming back, like, just stop it, okay? You're hurting your own cause at this point in time. But guys, I hear that it's fine. It's all right. And Martin Lawrence also slaps Will Smith, so that's kind of a mea culpa that's in there, right? That's a direct reference. That's very funny. We can do that at this point in time. But given the fact that we're still, a month out from Wolverine and Deadpool, like, is that it's not because that's going to be the biggest release of the year that might end up breaking $1 billion. Who knows? I still think $800 million because you can have your hopes up. You can hope that it's going to be good, but ultimately it's going to be written in crayon because Disney's going to note the hell out of it. But whatever, okay? We'll cross that bridge when we ultimately get to it. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love for it to be fantastic and for everybody to enjoy it. It's just, I know a little bit better, and so do you, that by giving Disney the benefit of the doubt, only one person is a fool in that scenario. But that's the next big release that's on the schedule. I legitimately don't know what else is supposed to be out there. What, if you want to say Inside Out 2 is going to be a big release? I don't even know if that comes out in the interim, but Hollywood, it kind of needs some legs and some things. So Bad Boys, Ride or Die, obviously 56 million, 56.5, okay, over this past weekend. Pretty good. Probably has a good shot to repeat. And then the Garfield movie, man, holding on at $10 million. That's kind of crazy, man. And you take a look at its run so far, and it's done respectably well, just about $200 million, probably by the time that you see this video, and we'll have eclipsed $200 million. But just look at its pull, okay, throughout the week, staying right there at the top of the charts, which there's no reason to expect why it wouldn't, but, constantly raking in decent cash, even throughout the week. Like, good on it, okay? I haven't heard anything negative or positive about it, but it's doing all right. And then if Ryan Reynolds' other outing of the season, The Watchers, I think, that's the Dakota Fanning, now that she's in her 30s, which is so weird. And then, Kingdom of the... Anyways, and then, at number 6, kind of the crux of this video right here, Furiosa. Boy, is that thing underperforming. Kind of crazy underperforming at this point in time, right? Because you remember, like, Fury Road, it wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire. Okay, what did it end up cashing out at? $350 million? Like, it barely broke even. This one right here, be lucky to hit $200 million because look at its returns at this point in time. It's fallen off hard. It's fallen off like Charlize Theron, but it's not coming back. It's fallen out of the top 5 2 weeks into its release. What the hell is going on? Well, I'll tell you, it's pretty easy to figure out. All of your pandering, all of your representation, all of your, oh, I can finally see myself on screen. Guess what? It doesn't actually work in the real world because Furiosa reportedly saw 80% decline in female audience compared to Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah, big shock on that one because guess what? Men and women alike, guess what? They like Mad Max for the same reason, okay? Because it's Mad Max. Men and women like action films for the same reason. Because guess what? They like action films. They don't want to have to see a girl boss. They don't want to have fringe characters thrust upon them. Just because they put a woman on screen doesn't necessarily mean that the women are going to turn out for that one. Men and women, while they might like something for similar reasons, are very different when it comes to what attracts them to something. Just because you put a girl boss on the screen doesn't necessarily mean that the other girl bosses are going to come out there and support them, because in fact every time that somebody will just simply say, oh, you just don't like it because there's a woman in it, you don't like it because you're a misogynist. Nobody hates women more than women. I just looked at that film and thought that it was going to be basically disposable trash, which even though, you know, people that went and seen it said, no, it's fine as long as you discount the first 40 minutes, the second act is fine. And Furiosa, well, you know, she kind of plays backseat to Praetorian Jack, who's far more compelling, and then the third act just kind of peters out into nothing. Whereas, wow, did you actually like the film? Yeah, no, it was fine. It's like, if that's your most glowing praise, here's the thing, man. The film didn't need to be made, okay? Especially didn't need to be made for $160 million. But chalk this up as another example, okay, where your representation, diversity, seeing yourself on the screen, that crowd that'll say all of that stuff is very important, well, there you go. Here's another example of it not working because this stuff is trash. Director George Miller's Furiosa and Mad Max Saga reportedly saw a 80% decline in female moviegoers compared to Mad Max Fury Road. As reported by Andrew Chapados at The Blaze, Mad Max Fury Road saw women make up 40% of moviegoers to the film, and that declined from 29% for Furiosa. Oh, that declined to 29% for Furiosa. Holy! Similarly, young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 made up 31% of the audience. Comparison made up 21% for Furiosa. Because here's the thing, guys, okay, for as much as you and I colloquially understand and know the name Mad Max, this is also a film franchise that had its biggest successes in the 80s and 90s. Why would you anticipate young people to come on and hop on to a legacy IP? It really hasn't seen that great of success in these non-Mad Max films, because Mel Gibson is Mad Max. Like, let's get it straight. Tom Hardy, I like him as an actor. He's not Mad Max. And Furiosa, well, Furiosa just isn't a compelling character. We've seen that again. Not only is it made up the audience drastically different between Fury Road and Furiosa, it's quite likely that Furiosa also saw fewer women and young adults heading into the theaters. The Fury Road sold 18,174,895 tickets in North America after it arrived in theaters in 2014. 40% of that would be 7.2 million. 31% of that would be 5.6 million. Okay. In contrast, the numbers reports that Furiosa has sold only 4.9, just about 5 million tickets. Probably by the time that we see this, 5 million tickets. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And that means that only 1.4 million women purchased tickets for Furiosa. And then purchasing is always just, you know, a little bit of an eye-rolling moment. But okay. It also means that only 1.05, yeah, let's just round up for fun. People between the ages of 18 to 24 bought tickets to Furiosa. Yeah, it's an old person's franchise, guys. I don't know how many more times that needs to be made crystal clear. Or it's the fact that, I don't know, maybe Gen Z doesn't really care about modern day Hollywood pandering. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's Anya Taylor Joy's laborious name to say. The only thing that's longer is the gap between her eyes. Isn't that much of a draw for theaters? Or maybe it's all of this just simply rolled into one. Based on that data, over 5.8 million women attended Fury Road compared to Furiosa. That's an 80% decline. But yeah, it's really obvious, guys. The whole girl boss, even though she's not a girl boss, okay? That's the way that this film and many other strong female protagonists, okay, strong independent woman narrative, or I'm sorry, archetype, that's the way that it's being perceived by the public. We see this play out time and time again on film, on TV, in video games. It's become a trope in and of itself. And now the audience they're just so done with it, man. Western gaming is falling apart. That's why Western movies have fallen apart, and that's why the box office this year is waiting for a pair of black or white guys to come along and save them. Oh well, sucks to suck. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.